Hi there, it's Darlene. I hope you're doing well. So, about 10 days ago, Mark Zuckerberg announced some sweeping changes that he's bringing about to Instagram. And these changes, he says, are to improve freedom of speech and to try to avoid censorship. He feels that there's been way too much censorship in Instagram and that it needs to be reduced. So he's taking some very sweeping changes to it. Now, I could go on and on for hours about all the different changes and what the ramifications are, but there's plenty of videos out there that'll do that. What I'm mainly worried about are the ones that are going to give potential free rein to scammers to say and do whatever they want. So I'd like to look at those parts of what Mark Zuckerberg says and also look at right now how the scammers out there are feeling about these changes, because they're looking at it as being extraordinarily positive for them. Of course, as you all know, I follow Philip Johansen, so he's going to be my example that I'll be using. But seriously, I'm sure there's plenty others that are just doing the same handstands that he is. Let's talk about these changes that are going to happen. So first of all, there's going to be no more third-party fact checkers. Instead, they're going to be going to a community notes system, such as is now at Twitter or X. But still, that's a loosening up of rules. The second one isn't really applicable. They're simplifying content policies, so there's less moderation on things like immigration and gender issues. Now, the third one is important. It's a new approach to policy enforcement. You see, Instagram uses AI or filters. He calls it filters. Philip calls it AI. But anyways, those are going to be turned way down. They're only going to be catching really high violation stuff, like sexual abuse, blah, 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 and a whole bunch of things I can't say, or else, my channel's going to get demonetized. And the rest will be handled by people reporting problems. Because you see, the filters are turned up so high that if these people start saying, side hustle, that can't say that, income, money, all these types of things, like make money from home, it picks up all of these words, and that's why so many of Philip Johansen's disciples have lost their accounts. And frankly, well, it's probably the reason why Philip Johansen's accounts have been extraordinarily limited right now, and for the last 6 to 8 months. He can't do lives on either Facebook or Instagram. He started a second channel on Instagram, and that one is growing really, really slowly. He had his contest giveaway, and apparently it got taken down. I have no idea even why they would do that. And since then, I haven't been seeing stories from him. So, he's having a great time thinking that this is going to be going back to the days when they could show these scammy side hustles. Hey, look, you could sell Gucci bags. But no, it never actually worked out, right? Number 4, bringing back civic content, and that's the political stuff, and then moving the content moderation team from California to Texas. So 2, 4, and 5, I'm not going to worry about because other people are talking about them. What I want to look at is how these new approaches to policy enforcement and the fact-checking are going to affect these online gurus. And you know the types that I'm talking about. The ones that are selling the courses that sell the courses. The ones that can teach you how to make all this money in such a short period of time and no work involved at all. I'm sure you've seen so many of the make money online folks on Instagram. And really, they have been toned down quite a lot lately because, as I say, because of the filters. Oh, but then back in the old days when they could do the old bait and switch, here's this lovely side hustle you could do in your spare time. Oh, but that's not going to work here. You should actually go for my program that costs $2,500. Yeah. Well, now they think it's going to go back to the Wild West times. Check this out, what Philip Johansen's talking about.
So, what is going on Instagram? Instagram is coming back to its prime, right? going back to its prime, and I believe it's first US that is gonna be affected by it, and then they're gonna move it out of the US, where they're gonna remove all of the AI restriction. If you don't know now, then 100% of the posts being posted right now is going through the AI. And just one trigger word or one sentence you say in a wrong way will trigger the AI and shut down your post for no specific reason. So 6 months ago or 1 year ago, it was not like that, right? So why did they do that? If you didn't follow along and paid attention or watching the replays as I tell you to do, right? Just the first 15 minutes of it, then they started to restrict the content creators on social media because they wanted to make more room for advertising for the US election, because they make billions of dollars in that period. And in order to do that, they need to remove more of the noise on social media. Who makes the noise? The creators, right? Not the consumers. They do nothing. They just comment on shit, right? So that's why they wanted to get rid of a lot of content. Now, was it a week ago? A week ago that Mark Zuckerberg, he announced that it will go back and AI will no longer go over the post. So that is a good thing. So we can go back to what it used to be. And listen, guys, I was talking to a super nice guy here the other day on a one-on-one call, and we talked about that everything changes all the time, right? Everything changes all the time. And if you are part of the WhatsApp group where I am in, then I sent them a reel with Ty Lopez and says that you need to adapt quickly. And if you're not adapting, you're going to be left behind, and eventually your business will die if you're not willing to adapt. And does it suck that we hit a cycle like this where Mark Zuckerberg just limit everything for us? Yeah, it's bad luck or not bad luck, or you can call it whatever the fuck you want. Some of you guys still make money, right? But this happens only once every 4 years. Once every 4th year when there's the US election. So, yeah, it's not really that bad, right? So, we talk about that 1 year ago or 1.5 years ago, then all of this was booming like crazy and people made ridiculous, right? And now my reach was through the roof with 20 million impressions every 30 days and shit like that. It went crazy, right? And now we are around like 15 or something like that. It's still good. I'm not complaining, but I want more. I want 100 million impressions every 30 days, right? I want all of the impressions. So, but anyways, if you take a look at everybody on social media, if you paid attention, if you've been in this space for a long time, is everybody took a hit on it. Everybody, including me. Everybody. People that I knew back in the days when I also made the 20 million and made a shit ton of money, right? It was like, no, I don't want to say that. It's going to piss off some people. But it was a lot of money every day, right? And then I watched some of the other people, the other coaches, the other people in the space, the other affiliates, other people promoting other programs as well. I was watching everybody, what they were doing. And some of these guys made like 100K a month, right? Selling other people's programs. And because then this shit here happened with the AI and the restrictions and the US election, they went down to 25K. Right? Even the ones that was on its prime. So it's not just your Instagram account or not just my Instagram account. It's everybody's that is under this restriction and reach. But the good news is it will get back now. He announced that publicly. So it will go back, which is amazing, right? This is very good. We love it. So,
is that really what Mark Zuckerberg said? What was his wording, and what are the implications of what he said? I'm going to show you those parts of the announcement that he made. The whole video is about 5.5 minutes long, and you can find it anywhere. I'm just going to show you the 2 excerpts of the 2 parts that I showed you that were of concern here, so that you can get a good idea of, I don't think it's going to be quite as easy as Philip might think, but we shall see.
Widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote non-stop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our third. We're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down.
I just hope that we don't see a ton of online marketers making idiotic money claims again. $30,000 in a month, oh man. I do hope. But he did say that people could report it. So I think a lot of people will start reporting stuff like that because people are starting to wise up that these overinflated prices on these courses, these fake gurus, it's just not worth it. So I'm hoping anyways that people reporting it will be enough, but that is something that I think only time will tell. Now, what really interests me are those community notes, especially since I've never seen them because I'm Canadian and they haven't rolled out here in Canada. So I wanted to find out more about them. So I found this guy. He's called Tech Quickie. I highly recommend you go watch this. Any of the videos that I'm using here will be linked in my description, so you can go and watch the whole things yourself should you want to. I like this guy. He's very concise. I'm just going to show you the first bit of it where he talks about how community notes work in Twitter.
Let's say you're on the website formerly known as Twitter. Statistically, most of you aren't, but let's pretend. You're doom scrolling as usual when suddenly you spot a post claiming that ancient aliens are living in bunkers beneath the pyramids of Giza and they haven't paid rent in nearly 12,000 years. But then, right underneath it, you spot a little window that says there actually aren't any bunkers underneath the pyramids, alongside a link to a Wikipedia article on squatters' rights. This little note stuck onto the bottom of a post like a little actually barnacle is what X Corp likes to call a community note, and it might just be the future of social media moderation. Social media platforms are under serious pressure to control the spread of misinformation by governments, by investors, by their own users. This puts companies in the awkward position of having to be the arbiters of what is and isn't factual reality. and what is and isn't acceptable speech. Some of those cases are going to be pretty clear-cut. The earth isn't flat, and you can't threaten to kill people. But there's also going to be a lot of ambiguity. That's where community notes comes in. It's a genius feature that lets X delegate responsibility for fact-checking onto its user base, but also allows the users to build their own consensus as a community in a mostly polite, democratic manner without top-down censorship. Community notes were first added as a US-only feature in January 2021 under the original name of Birdwatch. Everything was better before. It was rebranded and expanded in November 2022, shortly after the site fell under new management. The primary goal of the feature is to combat misinformation, both intentional and unintentional, by crowdsourcing fact-checking through anonymous volunteers. When normal people encounter a post that lacks context, they get to be mad or misled and move on. But users approved as community notes contributors have a third option, a button that lets them add an asterisk to any misleading post. The user will then be asked to specify why they think the post needs a note, whether it's misleading, inaccurate, outdated, satirical in a way that might go over many people's heads, etc. The contributor will be encouraged to add a link to a reliable source backing their counterclaim. Then, that proposed note appears on the community notes dashboard of other contributors who vote on whether or not it's helpful. Contributors may even decide to write a counterclaim on that proposed community note explaining why it's inaccurate or irrelevant and encouraging other contributors to vote against it. To be clear, and this is actually where it gets interesting, this is not a simple majority system where whichever note gets the most votes wins. A note needs to hit a certain threshold of supporting votes, and those votes need to show a general consensus among contributors who typically disagree with each other. This encourages contributors to stick to the facts and cite reliable sources when writing a note. It also makes it a lot harder for a partisan group to dogpile on a post and fact-check it with their own personal opinion. This kind of system is primarily attractive to two kinds of people with strong opinions and nitpickers who like to be right. But it's balanced in such a way to disadvantage the opinionated and place nitpickers in the position of kingmaker.
I'm really looking forward to watching to see how this is going to play out on Instagram, because people on Instagram are so used to, if they don't want to hear what you're saying, they'll just block you, and that's that. So I wonder how this community notes thing is going to happen on Instagram, because community notes are anonymous. So, I mean, when these people are putting up their lies and stuff, people are going to be able to put it in community notes, put a note against it, and the person has absolutely no recourse. They have no way of taking that down. Unless they put in a rebuttal like he was saying and quote some other source. But oh my goodness, I could see having a lot of fun with community notes, actually. In fact, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, you have got to go watch this video here. He is hilarious. But anyways, he's going to show you I'm going to show you just a few excerpts from his, because he shows like what the original tweet was and then what the community note underneath it was. And it'll give you an idea of what can be done with community notes as well. But it is funny.
Here. Hi again, guys. And ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter, the entire site has been in a downward spiral. It's not really a secret. But one of the few good features that still exists is community notes, which is basically an attempt for people to combat misinformation on tweets that have some not so accurate information in them. It is not a perfect system. These notes can be abused, and sometimes the notes themselves are wrong. But if nothing else, it has led to some people getting absolutely rotated on their own tweets. Never give up from the official Minecraft Twitter account. Stone Picks cannot harvest diamond. Steve should have given up before he started. These posts come from the Twitter account Community Notes Violating People, which catalogs events such as these, and it almost has more followers than the actual Community Notes Twitter account. That's because people like seeing others get dunked on more than what the notes are actually meant to be used for. From historic vids, an astronaut washes his hair in space. And this was a suggested note. If you don't know, the process for how a community note gets approved is that people on Twitter will vote how helpful a given note was or how solid the information is. The astronaut has no hair. He's bald. Okay, fucking call him King Neptune next, dude. Don't be a dick. This historic vids guy, I believe, is in Kazakhstan language sounds like a diesel engine trying to start in winter. I'm gonna be honest, that description sounds cool as fuck. It's just a shame I can't verify it because this video does not have sound. Oh, and what do you know? It's historic vids again. Shame. Young breaking. Red sky looms over the entire New York City just now. It's happening. Green sky en route. This is what is commonly known as a sunset. I really love Twitter tweaker accounts. People who just see natural phenomenon and be like, yep, the world's fucking over. It's happening this time. But the way that we are selling our baby trebuchet, we only used it a couple times. PM me for a quote. This is not a baby trebuchet. It is a baby catapult. A trebuchet has a counterweight. You know, with community notes as a function essentially being the actually formalized as a feature, I'm surprised we hadn't seen any corrections as petty as this one up till now. It's like, oh, it's not a trebuchet, it's actually a catapult. Okay, I care about the baby launching part. The important part is that it chucks infants a long distance. Like, you're losing the plot here, man. I learned
It's funny here on Twitter. I mean, Elon Musk, this is tweets of his and a conversation going back and forth, and it got community noted where somebody corrected Elon Musk on what he was talking about with a pertinent reference attached. So, if Elon Musk can't get rid of a community note that's been attached to a tweet of his, do you think that these marketers are going to be able to delete or get rid of community notes on their reels or posts? Oh my goodness. Wow. It could turn into a real free-for-all like apparently they're seeing over on Twitter or X. I'm very interested to see how this is going to roll out for Instagram. Of course, we haven't heard any of this yet, and it's probably not even been all decided yet. Who knows? But I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this looks like, if I can see it from up here in Canada. But I can't wait to see because, I don't think that things are going to be as merry as the fake gurus, the marketers that sell courses that just sell the courses, the misguided mentors, whatever you want to call them. I don't think it's going to be as easy as they think it's going to become. And frankly, I do think that the market is getting so saturated with the courses that sell the courses that sell the courses. Start off with Legendary Marketer, and even before that, continued on with Seven-Figure Accelerator and all the other ones and the MRR courses. It was just a glut on the market and everybody was selling them about a year and a half ago. And now it's fizzling out. It's going down and down and down. But we shall see if this causes, I hope it doesn't cause an explosion of extreme income claims and promises of wealth without having to do anything, of the laptop lifestyle, of being able to just have a side hustle and be able to make it, of all of these dreams and promises that are absolute crap. I'm hoping to see people start to speak up in the community notes should these be brought in, which I have no doubt that they're going to be. It's going to be a whole new world over on Instagram. What do you think? Can't wait to talk to you in the comments. Darlene out.